And then he brought up the story of my mother is not my mother.
To me, I'm Emeka Odibeli, but to them, I'm Olalekon Ibrahim, and I'm like, hey.
Hey Bridge fans, welcome to another wonderful episode of our show, the Dexter's Bridge Show. My name is Dexter, your host. Is your father your real father? Okay. My bad. The issue about family identity is hinged on faith, because you might wake up one morning and you're told that the man or the woman you call your father or your mother is not who you thought they were. In that case, what do you do? I'm joined by a guest this morning who, in his 30s, got to discover that you find out when we meet Mr. Emeka and Pamela Odibeli. Thank you for being on the show. By the way, they've been my friends, or he has been my friend for as long as I can remember.
Thank you for having
Thank you.
A pleasure. Growing up, how was it for you?
Growing up for me was pretty lonely and
Lonely.
yeah.
Okay.
Very lonely, and I had a lot of restrictions growing up because I was an only child, and there were things to do, things not to do, places to go, places not to go. So the freedom was less, and everybody was scared that every little move you make could lead to a mishap. So
okay, your parents were overprotective. Yeah.
So all that put together made it very difficult to just live a regular, normal life and believe that you can make mistakes or just
be a child.
To be a child, yeah.
Of course, those of us who had normal childhood, you could wake up in the morning and travel for 2 miles, and nobody cared. Everybody was sure you come back the next day, or at least that's it. Yes, we had children who would sleep out, and it was that kind of community we grew up in. Yeah. So you didn't have that.
No, I didn't have that.
Then the crux of the story, getting to find out that the man or the woman you thought was your father or your mother were not who they were.
Actually, yes, that was my mom, and I got to find out that my mom was not my mom the year I got married.
Wait. Okay, I'll say hold up. Wait, I believe you got married in your 30s, or early 30s or thereabouts.
Yeah.
Okay, you were 31.
Yes.
And you found out that for 31 years,
yes,
the woman you thought was your mother was not your mother.
Yes.
How exactly does that even happen?
Actually, I used to see it in movies. And
yes. I mean, this is the subject of movies.
Yes.
And then you are living somebody else's movie script.
Amazingly, it was like even the period when I found my mom was the period where those movies were frequent on TV. So getting to just hear and begin to even suspect that what wasn't what it was a shocker in itself.
Okay. Let's take this blow by blow.
Fine.
So, was it a suspicion or just an information out of the blue? How did this whole thing start?
We started in bits.
Okay.
Because I woke up one morning, a neighbor asked me, Emeka, na true say your mama na Yoruba?
Hey, aproko neighbor.
And I looked at her, I was like, I don't understand. You know my mom is not Yoruba. This died. Another day, I went to the hospital and someone met me. I was like, how's your stepmom? Stepmom, I don't understand. I don't have a stepmom. My dad has just one wife. And I just kept it like that. And
you were about 30 at the time?
Yes. So when finally someone walked up to me on Facebook and said, you look like my brother. I was like, your brother?
Hey.
Let me see his picture. She sent me his handle. I saw his picture. Wow, we look so much alike. And I was like, very nice. Good to know that someone looks like me somewhere in the world. Then we started talking. We talked for close to 4 months.
The guy whose brother you look like?
The lady.
Okay.
The lady whose brother I looked like. So after like 3-4 months, one morning I was in church and I just got a picture sent to me. And I looked at the picture. The baby in the picture was me. I knew it was me. I'd seen the pictures of me as a child. I had seen me on that particular apparel. But the person carrying me, I had never seen in my life. All the albums in my house don't have that picture. So I was wondering, who is this? And I asked her, who is this? She said, that's your mother.
Wait, should I be laughing? Am I Carlos laughing? Okay, he's laughing, so I can't cry more than they believe. So, I mean, everybody's fine. I hope so.
That was the end of service for me that day, because nothing in that service made sense to me.
Of course.
And I got back. Actually, I didn't go home straight. I went to my friend's house. And when I got to his house, I showed him what I saw. And he looked at me and he was confused like me. I said, you have to ask your dad.
Okay, he told you how to
I
ask
said,
your
you have to
dad.
ask your dad. I said, okay, I'll ask my dad. So I got home and I asked my dad.
Okay,
And
please, how did you ask him? Did you show him the picture?
I was like, Daddy, someone sent me a picture. He said, let me see the picture. So I showed him the picture and he was shocked. That shock made me understand that there was something going on. So as he looked at me in shock, he now said, where did you get that picture from? I said, someone sent it to me. He said, why should they have your picture? That was your nanny when you were growing up. If you show your mom the picture, she would think that the woman wanted to use it for something fetish. I was like, really? My nanny is wearing the same ashwebi with me, and you are telling me not to let my mom see the picture? I was like, okay, no problem. So I kept quiet. I didn't say anything again. And then I was dating her.
Okay.
So I told her the story. And when I told her the story, she said, tell him what you said.
Okay, basically I was like, okay, fine. If somebody comes and says, I'm your mother, or this is not your mother, what do? We'll have to travel to wherever she is to see her.
Investigate. Yeah.
Yes, so it's better you are there, you meet with her, and then you know the truth for yourself. I said, no problem, whatever you're doing, stand up, I will follow you. Let us go.
Louvre.
I'll follow you. Let us go to Abeokuta, because that's where his mom is, to go and see for ourselves if it was true. And that's how we went to Abeokuta.
I'm sure that would have been the longest journey of your life.
Seriously?
Yes, it was very long, and I had 1,000,001 thoughts.
Aside the fact that the distance was practically long, I mean,
I just kept thinking.
Each minute was an hour in itself.
Yeah, I kept asking myself questions. What would she look like? What would she be thinking?
Is it true?
Is it true? What if I get that it's a lie? I wish that above all else that it was going to be a lie though. But I got there, and I got there on a Monday. And on Easter Monday, 2012. And my grandfather died on Friday, Good Friday. So they were in mourning.
Okay, your maternal grandfather.
My maternal grandfather died on Friday. So
how could he have died that way? You should have met him.
God got planned.
Just a thought.
So I just got there, and when I met my sister first, it was no longer Facebook. I was now seeing her.
Oh, the lady that you were chatting
Yes.
with.
Was his
And
sister.
she looks
Okay.
like me, just that she's fairer than I am. But some facial features I have, she has. I said, okay, number one. I said, okay, let's go and see mom. As soon as I saw my mom, it was like many years of my life compressed together in a moment. Everything just seemed to make sense. So all the confusion, because you would not understand how it feels where something is missing but you can't place it.
You can't place it, but something just tells you.
You understand? You just know everything
okay.
is not the way it's supposed to be. Then you now get to that point and you're like, why? How? And you're seeing her, she's looking at you, she's in tears, coming to hug you for the first time, and you just can't explain. The emotions they're not easy to come by.
Inexplicable. Yeah, you can't just put it.
So seeing her, I just knew she was my mother. I didn't someone to come and tell me, this is your mother, look at the face. I just knew. And the very moment she held me, it was a hold I had not gotten all my life. So that moment, it just came together. And when we left that place and now went to the place where the burial was happening, everybody was looking at me. I was like, this wicked boy. So you knew your mother was here and you refused to check, you refused to ask after her. And when I told them that I didn't even know that I had a mother.
Did you have to explain that?
Did not. No, I had to tell them because they were all looking at me like, how would you
Somehow
have been
for
in this
30
world
years.
and never even bothered to come for 30 years?
For 30
Who does
years,
that?
you've not seen your mother, you've not checked.
You know. With each passing day, I get to learn why people should not be judgmental at an issue. Because till you walk a mile in somebody's shoes, don't judge him. I don't believe in being summarily irresponsible. I believe people should be held to certain standards. But there are things you can't just explain. That's why people should be empathetic. Before you start being judgmental, show some empathy. You never know how things just play out. Life can be mean, to say the least.
Sure.
So how did it go on from there?
So I had to explain to them that I never even knew that there was a family that belonged to me.
Aside where you
Aside
knew or thought.
what I knew, and to me, I'm Emeka Odibeli, but to them, I'm Olalekan Ibrahim, and I'm like, hey, where's all this
Again, I
coming
have to
from?
laugh. It's some kind of parallel universe.
Yeah.
Like you had a parallel existence
They were like,
somewhere
my
else.
grandfather looked forward to seeing me all his days, and he just left, and now I'm coming. But that being said, I found out that from when I was 3-4 months old, my mom lost touch with me completely. So she didn't see me, and me, nobody ever told me
Of
that
course,
she existed.
of course.
Because I'll give all full credit to my father's wife, who is also my mom. She never made me feel like I was not hers.
Now that is a story we have to come back to.
You understand? So
Yes.
she never made me feel I wasn't her. So I didn't really have that reason to wake up and say, okay, maybe I have a mother somewhere, I have to go search, and finally I found her. No. I just found out that there was another mother to the entire life story. So in completeness to everything right now, I have my father and I have 2 mothers because they are both actively mothering me.
How fortunate you must be. If one mother is having a mood swing, say, hey mama, I want to see another mother who I think is not going to have a mood swing on me. Let's come back to your identity.
Yeah.
At the point where you got this revelation, how did it impact on your identity? I mean, your general personhood or sense of who you thought you were.
First was I was fortunate enough to be some of the kind of people call intelligent, in quotes, because we used to carry first sometimes. But one of the things that hit me after I met my mother was the fact that I tried doing so many things in my life, from primary school to secondary school and university, and I noticed that one of the biggest reoccurrences I had was that my life would move in circles and never just end. It never just had any completeness.
Yeah, like closure. Each event didn't have a closure.
I would just start something and it will hang. Secondary school, there was even a period where I had inferiority complex. I struggled to live with people. I just had something that kept making me feel I wasn't supposed to be where everybody was. Do you understand? And the more I tried to fight it, the more I noticed I was going deeper into
like
the
a
cycle.
quicksand. No,
So
it kept sinking.
that moment I met her, there was this new self-awareness that happened, and it gave me a precise direction as to where I'm coming from and how it connects to my identity towards where I'm going to. Do you understand? Because I had clarity as to where I was going to, but I wasn't getting there. I wasn't even going there. But knowing where I was coming from gave me that clarity to be able to understand, okay, now I understand why the journey is like this. There was a day a pastor looked at me and told me, if you were supposed to be a Christian, you can't run away from using your life for God. If you're supposed to be a Muslim, there's a chance you'll be an imam or an alpha. If you're supposed to be an atheist, you'll be like a head of a cult. He said, because that's what he sees about me. Now, finding out what I found out, my mom is Muslim, and now I now understand, okay, really, if I grew up with her, maybe in me for crying for head pass, you understand? Then if I'm already on the path with God, and I noticed that it was very difficult for me to run away. As in, my wife will always tell you that everybody wants me to either become a pastor or, and the more I run, the more it pursues me and catches me somewhere. Yeah. But you will not understand why it's like that. Do you understand? But finding this route made me understand better. Because if you mention my grandfather's name in Ogun State, or to someone that lives in Ogun State, the first thing they will tell you, his name is in the history books. Do you understand? Because of his impact to the people and to the Yoruba Muslims. And you're like, oh, okay. If you really want to say generational things, now you understand where generational things are connecting and all that. So basically, it helped me, and it was good I found out before I got married, because like I told her when we were going there, I said, if you get there and you don't like what you see and you choose to leave me, I would understand. But let's just get there and see for ourselves. Then if you choose to continue, to God be the glory.
Amen.
So should we be laughing, really?
Okay. So that was just what it did to me, and also waking up to find out after 30 years that you are not alone.
Okay, that again. So the loneliness that you suffered being a child wasn't meant to be.
You can wake up and say, oh, I have a brother, I have a sister, and there are 8 of them.
Eight of them.
8 of them, yeah, and getting to learn to have, communication with brother, communication with sister. Also, getting to hear from them that for every year that passed by, they know my birthday, because my mom always celebrated my birthday with them, bought stuffs, shared with them, and reminded them that they had an elder brother who was me. It was because of that remembrance. That was why when Facebook came, they were able to have a name to search with and find me. I don't know how else
Guys, if this is not intriguing, then I don't know what is intriguing. We'll be back after this break. Don't go anywhere. You're still on to the Dexter's Bridge Show. Thank you for being with us. Before the break, we had heard a story of a 30-year-old man having to find out that not only was the woman he thought was his mother not his mother, he wasn't an only child like he grew up thinking he was. And the roller coaster of emotion that he had to suffer having discovered this is something that we are yet to find out. But Pamela, you were in this story on this journey with him. So in that moment when you found out that your mother-in-law, I don't know. Okay, you were now going to have 2 mothers-in-law.
Exactly.
Okay, if it was the woman, it means at least you have been expanded. You could have had to do 2 mother-in-law things. Don't mind me. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I mean, when you're going to do traditional marriage, you have to give mother-in-law things down to 2 mothers-in-law. But how was it finding out that you had 2 mothers-in-law? What was the emotion like in that moment?
Okay, basically, I think what would have been playing in my head at that time, if I can remember, is this is crazy. Like, this is super story. Interesting. Like sometimes I say God has a good sense of humor. I just have to bring this into play to tell the story. And I tell people sometimes, I think when you're dating, why are you dating? Be careful. What are the things you learn from dating? Because sometimes people just date people and they feel that maybe you start sleeping with them, that's not what dating is all about. If you really look at the people you dated before you married whoever, I think there's a lesson there for everybody. So interestingly, there was somebody I was dating before my husband. Yeah. And everything was going on very fine with both of us. I knew his parents and blah blah blah. So one day when he was really ready to settle down, he had got his house furnished and everything, he told me, there's something I have to tell you. I was like, okay, what is it? He said, the person you know as my mother. Okay.
No.
Yeah. He said, the person you know as my mother is not my mother. I was like, okay.
I think
what's going on?
I was suspecting.
I'm telling you. I said, what's going on? He said,
you don't mean it.
Yeah, I mean it. He said, I would like you to meet my mother. She's far away now, but then you speak with her over the phone. And so I spoke with his mother. She's a Yoruba woman. And she had this Yoruba intonation.
And like the heavy Yoruba accent.
The heavy Yoruba accent like that. When I finished getting, I told myself, Otilo, I'm gone. I can't do this. Like, just because of the accent, I was like, I cannot have a mother-in-law that come and, hey, my dear, how are you? I said, I'm not doing. And I left his place in Lagos. And that was the end. I did not communicate with him. I did not tell him we were breaking up.
Please
I just blocked.
Don't judge her.
Don't judge me.
I can see judges and magistrates. Everybody's carrying their gavel now. Please don't judge her. Let's just listen to the story.
He didn't do me anything wrong, oh. He didn't do anything wrong. But I tell people, God has a good sense of humor.
And if you are watching that young man, please don't judge her too.
You will not judge me. It's not meant to be.
It wasn't meant to be.
Exactly. So I left him, and that was all. And then I started dating Emeka Odibeli. I felt everything was fine. And then he brought up the story of my mother is not my mother. I didn't tell him what had happened.
It's not my, okay, he wasn't aware that you had gone through something like that.
He did not know.
I didn't find out till, I think, some years after we got
married. I didn't say a word. And I told him, okay, let's go and see your mother. And we got to Abeokuta. And his mother has the same accent that I ran away from.
Speaking of predestination, I think the thing is hanging on your head.
I didn't understand. I really do not understand. When he was there reasoning, I just met my mother, and I'm telling myself, seriously? You're back into this game again? He was thinking of his life. I was thinking of my own life. I think some things are just meant to be.
Exactly.
Because I had every reason to say, carry your bag. And because I could not tell my siblings, I could not tell my dad, my mom is late, that this is what will happen, because I know if I told them, you see that marriage, it will not hold. So I kept quiet.
Because you had run away from something like that before? Was that
No, not because of that. Like, my family, they'll tell you, don't enter a family that has complications.
Okay, I see.
Yes, so if we start this,
but it's going to be,
now? Yes.
Okay.
My siblings are all aware. My dad is, however, not aware, but it doesn't mean though. So, but my siblings are all aware now.
And it's very likely not going to see these videos.
Right? Exactly. So even if he sees it, no problem. So I just had to brace up, like, okay, maybe there's something there. Maybe I'm destined to actually help the life of the man. Yes. Maybe it's just it's a role I have to play in somebody's life, and I just had to accept it that, young lady, is your cross. You better carry this cross with your full chest like this. So.
No, you carry the cross with your shoulder.
Okay, with your shoulder. Okay, yeah. So.
Man, this is becoming one hell of a story, or one heaven of a story, or whatever it is. So, okay, now coming back to your father, confronting your father with this new discovery, and I mean,
okay, first things first was that my mom decided to tell me a story.
Okay, which of the moms?
My mom,
mom
now.
Okay, his birth mom.
My birth mom.
Because you have to put appellations to this thing.
She took me in and told me, okay, this was how you were born. This was what led to your being born. This was what happened. I went to school. You were with your grandmom, who is her mom, and your dad and your stepmom came and discussed with my mom, and they took you, and I came back and didn't find you. So this is a picture of the person that came with your dad, I saw the person, I knew him. He was one of my dad's close friends who was in Asaba then, but he's late now, died like 2 years ago. And I had to take note of that person. So as soon as I came back to Asaba, I went with her too, and I went to the man's office.
Okay.
So I got to his office and I showed him the picture. And when I showed him the picture, he was, hey, it has happened. So I said, that's not actually the problem. The issue now is that I need you to be able to help me get my dad to your office because I can't do this in my house. So called my dad, fixed another time, we all came. So when my dad came, my dad wept. But his shocker was that he said the reason why they didn't tell me all this while was because they felt when I get to hear I'll be aggressive and do so many things. I told him, okay, this is me here, I'm not doing anything. All I just want is to tell me why. So he now said I should wait. That he's going to beg me for one thing. I said, what is that? He said, though this news has come out, I should please ensure that my birth mom doesn't attend my wedding. He said, because if it happens, it's going to be war. That he will not be surprised out of 2, 1 may go. That was a very tough one because it took me time. It took me time to be able to accept it because my mom was already planning to come with her kids for the wedding. So at the point I just prayed about it and I got a thought in my mind to let her know that she should assume that when she found me, I was already married. Do you understand? So that she doesn't now look at the marriage as something that is so exceptional to be part of.
Sorry, I don't know if this will be preempting the progress of the story, but do you think if she had attended the wedding or the marriage, there would have been the kind of chaos your father was afraid?
Yes.
Problem.
I don't think, I know.
Yeah, there'd be problem.
Okay.
Problem.
So it was a good judgment to have taken a decision.
Yes.
Okay, I like that. Let's proceed.
It was a very good judgment, and
why I ask that question is because the court of public opinion is sitting now. They say, wicked man, you denied your mother. You see, we have to be adults and nimble in our judgment enough to know what shouldn't be, no matter how emotional we feel about it.
True.
That is one story lesson must take away from this complex web of interweaving stories, that you must separate emotions from good judgment and make the right judgment call, no matter how sentimentally sensitive it appears to be. Please proceed.
So I had to travel. I told my wife that it's not something we have to do over the phone. So we traveled back to see her.
Second missionary journey.
And that was when I was able to tell her. She wept all night. She was bitter, but she accepted it and decided to give us her blessings and her gifts and said that we owe her something. I said, what is it? That immediately after the wedding we'll come back. I said, fine. That is better for us. And that was how we were able to manage that particular phase. I never confronted my dad's wife.
Okay, let's go back to the revelation stage. At your father's friend's office. Okay. Your father made this first request that you should try to get your mother from being at the wedding, and you accepted. So what again happened? I don't want to miss any part of this.
After I got her not to attend, and it gave my dad's wife the honor of being at my wedding as my mother. And after that, I kept communication with my birth mom and her kids and my siblings, and also maintained my relationship with my dad and his wife. And something else that I did for my dad was not confronting my dad's wife as to her motherhood of me. So till today, I've not had that face-to-face, you're not my mother, you're my mother argument with her.
Wait. Are you saying she's not aware that you know your birth mom now?
If she's aware, we've not talked about it since I found out.
His dad requested that he should not bring it up with her. So that's
So
where
I
they
didn't
not
bring it up at
confronting.
all.
So you
And
don't know if your father had that discussion
with
with
her.
her?
I don't know, and I've not asked,
Not
and
sure.
I've just kept it that way. And my children are aware that they have 2 grandmas. So when they talk to her, grandma. When they talk to her, grandma. So they know there's grandma in Abeokuta, there's grandma in Asaba.
And they've not cared to ask why daddy has
They,
2 grandmas.
They're still
it had
small.
never occurred to them,
Okay.
and we left it that way.
This story is getting even more interesting and intriguing. And you don't feel any sense of responsibility to divulge?
Truthfully, it's not important for me at this stage. Reason is because my dad's wife is a very emotional person, and there's no need to stir up a water that you will not drink, you will not bathe in or bathe with, and that you will not use. So why don't you just let the water be? So that's just what it is for me.
So, do you think this whole blind spots, has impacted on your relationship with her in any way?
Yes. Yes and no. Yes, in the sense that it has given me a consciousness and control which I didn't have before in our relationship. Because, when you have this excessively strict parents, sometimes it either makes you become very weak and impotent around them, or it makes you look for a strength somewhere. So I found my own strength in this, in knowing this truth. And how it helped me is that it gave me a lot of independence away from her control. That was the yes part to it. The no is the fact that she lives her life, I live my life. I'm no longer under that cocoon that says that I must be only child, be ever present, be always here. Rather, I've now been able to gain my place of independence away from do and don't. You understand? So I have a life that is no longer in the script. It's now my script, and it's now my journey. So I can own it away from all the influences that I had before I got to know this truth.
So, are you still that only child to them?
Yes, I am.
Beautiful. This is what having a parallel self looks like. One person, 2 stories. In one world, he's an only child. In another world, he has 8 siblings. Tell me how else movies can come to real life. Whew. Before we go, do you think this whole thing has impacted your bond? Okay, thankfully it happened just at the time when you're about getting married. Has it changed anything? Or do you think anything would have been different if you didn't discover this truth? I mean, how could you have known? But
Okay. I had to say, marriage is one interesting, funny thing that nobody actually knows what they are going into.
It is.
When you enter, you see, by the time you open that pot, whatever is inside, you have to eat it and chew it. There's some things he just says and people look at it like, oh, well, he's mild, See, it was not mild for me as a wife. When he told you he was born into a controlling home, it was really a controlling home. When we got married, if you did not, if you don't decide to stay married, you will not stay married. It's not like there's one thing, you think there's one special thing that's happening to you, then you want to divorce. See, it is happening to everybody in different ways, you decide to stay married. You know the control that they had over him. I didn't want to say it. We just lead us to another story entirely. That you cannot be in your home in peace. If your mother-in-law enters your house, it is trouble like this. So you know they had that control of who want to be over your life. You know they do not realize, or she did not realize, that this man is now married. You are now contesting with the wife. Like they had that kind of control over him. And I'll tell him, this thing is not going to work. Oh, if it's on people, they would have left. Seriously, because we had that tussle for years. Everything they want to do, they can call your husband in the middle of the night to stand up and come to this, just bust into your home. There is no, they want to be in control of everything. If people have to breathe, it has to be from them. At the point, I have to tell him, see, I don't know what's going on. We sit down and talk. I say, see, I don't know what's going on. I was not raised like this. In my house, it's as interesting as my mom tells you, you see, after your service, after your national service, we are done. You have to go and live life and find out. That's how we are raised. So immediately anybody goes for service in my house, you know you're on your own. So coming to a place now where this is a full-grown man I got married to, and you now want to sit on top of the marriage, like you have to tell how you want to give it, where you want to wait. I'm like, this is crazy. Tell me the food that my husband will eat, and it is mad. So there was this anger, like, but I would just tell him, it cannot work. And you know the interesting part, he felt very okay with it, because he did not see the control. Yes, not because he wanted to be controlled, but because he did not know that there was something. Yes, that was all he knew, because he did not know that there was something different from that there was a life outside. And I will tell you every time, please, this is not okay. It is not okay. And I thank God for a husband that listens. That's another thing. If you have a husband that does not listen to you, problem. But then again, he listens when I talk, and I think that's another thing that helps. Men should learn to listen to that. You know, sometimes we were very emotional and crazy, and sometimes you just sit there and be listening to me. Even sometimes I listen to tire me. If I say something, you know, women and our problem, like the emotional people.
He's listening and it's a problem.
It's a problem. He's not listening. It's wahala. Like do something. You just want them to act like this, yes, but he will not sit down and be thinking. But now this is 11 years down the line. It's really different. Okay. We've come a long way. We've like this thing has been broken, and you know.
You deserve the accolade. You deserve the accolade.
Yeah.
You say that your stepmother was and is a good woman, a good mother, and you have no reason to doubt, and that has kept that relationship. And this controlling aspect that we are known to, that we're finding out, just happen to be who they were. People can be dysfunctional in many ways. I mean, people can be overly liberal, excessively conservative, or just somewhere in between. It happened. This was your story. So, can you affirm again that even with all these revelations, that your stepmother is a good mother?
Yes, I will start with saying that I don't think my father would have married another woman. And why I think so is because for them to have been able to survive the past 48 years, you can tell that it was meant to be. And for me to have been an interjection in the 48 years, being that...
Wait. You know, I take language and grammar very seriously.
Yeah.
Interjection meaning that the marriage was before you happened.
Yes.
This story is not about ending anytime soon. It's not about ending anytime soon. I will get to the end of it. So your parents or your father and your stepmother were married when you happened?
Yes. Somehow.
Just when I thought we were getting to the end of it.
Life had it in such a way that she didn't have a child of her own. So some years after they had gotten married, they were 7, and my dad met my birth mom, and I happened. And as much as I happened, though it was not planned, he ensured that as I had happened, I wasn't going anywhere, because they were there were tendencies to get rid of me. And he ensured I didn't go anywhere, because somehow in the midst of the story, there was now finally going to be an offspring. So that they were able to use me to secure their bonding rather than separating themselves shows me a lot about
their character,
marriage management from them. And that in the midst of not being my birth mother, taking care of me from when I couldn't take care of myself, you understand, and nurture me to this person, it's not everybody that will do it for you. Many a times they will remind themselves how that, why she did, you understand? So, but she made the sacrifice to ensure that this life was going to remain to this point. So I'll give it to her anytime, any day. She was and she is a mother that anyone should be proud of, because it doesn't come by accidentally. It doesn't. And knowing what she knows and being who she was, nobody had a gun on her head to insist that she handles it this particular way, but she handled it well. So that's a part of the story that I will need to give her credit for anytime, any day.
I'm at this point where I can't do my usual commentary. I have lots of lessons and there are many shades of, ideologies jumping out of this whole story. But I'll leave it to you, my wonderful audience and fans, to draw all the shades of lessons. Because oftentimes in life we think that a good story has to be a linear story where sour tales happen every now and then. But you can see that a good story has intrigues, has upsides, downtimes, sour, sweets, outright bitter, and you can see end a good story. A great marriage is not that where two saints who have no record of infidelity or extramarital affairs occur. Even though I would say this also, that you're not under any pressure to stay in a marriage where there is infidelity. But infidelity in itself is not a one-way ticket out. You can still make a great story out of a sad tale. That you can still win the war even after having lost several battles. That's what we're taking out of the story. That you can still have a 48-year-old marriage without biological children, even when the man had extramarital affairs. And you still bring in the child and love the child like your own. Your stepmother deserves more than an accolade. And for your mother to have stayed out of the marriage, not coming to cause conundrum, catastrophe, she deserves an accolade. So people can still be humans, even when the odds are not all in their favor. We can still be humans. We can lose some, win some, we can be scorned at times, and still be good people. You mustn't let everything go down the drain because you lost a few. It's not about win-lose. This is a story. I'll see you on the next show, and I'm sure I'll have these two back, because there's more to them than just this whole triad of motherhood and parenthood. I'll see you again. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and follow us on all social media platforms. And you have a story like theirs or a great story, we'll be very pleased to have you on this show. Thank you, Pamela. Thank you, Emeka. You've been one hell of guest. In the good way. My name is Dexter. I'll meet you on another show. Thank you for being there. See ya. Thank you for making it to the end of this video. I believe you learned a lot from it. There is more. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and follow us on other social media platforms so you can see more interesting content and let others see the same thing that you have seen. Thank you.